Welcome to EduRev. Today, we're going to dive into four concepts that are, well, pretty much the bread and butter of the UCAT quantitative reasoning section: mean, median, mode, and range. Now, they sound simple, don't they? But the UCAT just loves to wrap them up in these tricky packages. So let's unwrap them together and build a solid game plan to master them.
Have you ever looked at a UCAT question and just thought, I know what a mean is, so why does this feel so complicated? Trust me, you are not alone. The whole test is designed to wrap these simple ideas in really complex scenarios, adding little twists just to catch you off guard. But don't you worry, that is exactly what we are here to prepare for.
So for today, just think of me as your coach. My job is to give you the playbook, the exact strategies that you're going to need to execute on exam day. I promise, by the end of this, you'll be able to cut right through the noise and solve these problems with speed and with confidence. Ready to go? Let's jump into our first play. Okay, first up in our playbook, mastering the mean. We all know the basics, but the real key to a great UCAT score is mastering how to use it when you're under pressure. So here it is, the basic definition we all learned in school. The mean is just the sum of all the terms divided by the number of terms. It's the average. Simple, right? But believe me, knowing the formula is really just the beginning. Now, this is where the UCAT gets clever. They're not just going to ask you to calculate a simple average. Oh no, they're going to flip the script on you. You should expect to be given the mean and then asked to find a missing number, or maybe to calculate a new mean after a value is added or taken away. Anticipating these kinds of twists is how you're going to win. So how do you spot these questions out in the wild? Here's a pro tip for you. Train your brain to react to certain keywords. When you see average or per, like in cost per item, or even the word total, it's a signal. These are your trigger words to immediately pull out that mean play from your playbook. All right, let's move on to play number 2. We're going to tackle two concepts at once here, median and mode. People mix these up all the time, so we're going to put them side by side to make the difference completely unforgettable. First up, you've got the median. Just think middle. Once you've lined up all your numbers in order, it's the one sitting right there in the center. And then you have the mode. For that one, just think most. This is simply the number that shows up most often in your data set. See? Two very distinct ideas, two totally different jobs. And here's a fantastic little shortcut for finding the median, especially when that clock is ticking. First, get those numbers in order. Then, just start knocking them out in pairs. One from the top, one from the bottom. Keep on going. If you're left with just one number, bingo, that's your median. If you're left with two, just find their average. It's fast, it's efficient, and it really cuts down on those silly mistakes. Now, for the mode, you gotta be aware of a couple of special cases. Sometimes two numbers might tie for being the most frequent. That's called bimodal. And if more than two numbers are tied, it's multimodal. The UCAT might just throw this in to see if you're really paying attention. All right, it's time for our final play in this section, winning with range. Now, this is by far the easiest concept to calculate, but it has one very, very common trap that you absolutely need to be ready for. The definition itself couldn't be simpler. Range is just the highest value minus the lowest value. That's it. It just measures the spread of the data. But you've got to be careful. Here it is. This is the number one trap that test takers fall into: negative numbers. Your gut instinct might tell you the range between 17 and -3 is 14. It's not. You have to remember the rule: highest minus lowest. That's 17 minus -3. And those two negatives make a positive, so it becomes 17 plus 3, giving you a range of 20. Always, always, always double-check your signs when you're working with range. Okay, we've just run through our 3 core plays. Let's huddle up for a quick recap. I really want this playbook burned into your memory so you can execute it flawlessly when it really counts. Here it is, your cheat sheet. Mean is the average. Look for those keywords. Median is the middle. Use that high-low elimination shortcut. Mode is the most frequent. Just spot the repeats quickly. And range is the spread, always, and I mean always, watch out for those negative numbers. This is your game plan. Know it, practice it, and you will be ready.